And so the boundary is not an attempt to control the other person. It's truly just an attempt to take care of yourself and to take care of your needs. Hello, you sexy and gorgeous creature. Welcome to Practice Intimacy. This is the place to be to learn all about love, sex, and how to have the best relationships you possibly can. My name is Jami Lynn, and we're going to dig into boundaries a little bit. I talk about boundaries here on this channel a lot because I think they're probably the single most important skill for all of us to learn. Is that true? When I hear myself say it, I'm like, wait a minute, there's like 12 other skills that I think are important. Okay, the top two, I think, are being able to watch your own mind. That's probably skill number one, like a self-awareness, ability to witness your own self in real time as you're behaving and thinking. Number one. And then boundaries, baby. Boundaries are so important. And yet, unfortunately, I live in the US, and in this culture, we tend to talk about boundaries in a way that is not helpful and actually, I think, harmful. So when we talk about boundaries most of the time, it's a covert attempt to make another person act how you want them to act, which is not a boundary. That is actually an attempt to manipulate or force another person to behave in a way that you would like so that you feel better. And one, that's not going to work. People are going to do what they do. And two, I actually think it's a boundary violation to try and make another person act how you want them to act. Even with children, I think that we tend to talk down to and use forcefulness with kids. And that's where we first learn it. We become adults who try to do that to each other because that's what we learned to do in relationship. I'm not saying everyone, but I'm saying culturally, that is what we have been taught to do, is attempt to control other people's behavior so we feel better. And it's never gonna work. So instead, and then the other way we talk about boundaries before I get into the other way we talk about boundaries is if someone does not listen to your boundary, then they're the jerk. Either that or I just didn't set a boundary well enough. But again, that's based on this idea that a boundary is about controlling another person's behavior when it is not. A boundary is to control your behavior and to protect you. And also sometimes it is a consequence that other people will have to live with if they want to be in relationship with you. And if you want to really dig into boundaries, then check out this video. I go through all the different boundaries and you can get a sense of what I mean whenever I say boundary, because I do not mean attempting to control another person's behavior. But we're going to talk about one specifically. I have talked about it on this channel before. It's called an executed boundary. It is the one that most people are attempting to do, but they don't do it well. And there's a particular formula for how to set an executed boundary. The language is, if you do this, this is what I'm going to do. If you speed in the car, I'm gonna drive myself from now on. If you are running late and we agreed that we would leave the house at 6, then I'm gonna leave at 6. If you continue to drink, then I'm going to leave. Like, those are executed boundaries. I am saying, here's what I will do if this continues. I'm not actually trying to change your behavior. I'm really not. Not with a really conscious boundary. I'm not trying to change the other person's behavior. Would it be nice if they would change their behavior? Sure, I would love. I'm actually the one who runs late, so I would love to run on time so that my partner and I could go to a party together rather than them leaving before I leave because I'm running 30 minutes late. I would love to go together. But the boundary is not meant to punish me or get me to change my tardiness. The boundary is only to protect my partner from getting really frustrated about running late and then driving like a maniac because of anxiety when they're running late. And so the boundary is not an attempt to control the other person. It's truly just an attempt to take care of yourself and to take care of your needs. And recently somebody asked me, but what if I don't really want to take an action with my boundary? And what if I don't want to just set a firm boundary where, like, if this doesn't happen, here's what I'm going to do? And so that's what I wanted to answer today. That question of, like, what if it's not so clear? And when you're preparing to set an executed boundary, the very first step actually is clarifying, what is my boundary? And how am I going to make it to where I'm doing something rather than expecting another person to do something? And so here's what a boundary might look like. Say your partner is somebody who is depressed. They're having a hard time with depression. It's part of what happens inside their nervous system. And you love them, you feel sad for them when they're in that space, you want to be able to help, you know you can't help. And also, it is really challenging to be connected to them in moments when they're very depressed, because it doesn't feel good to you. You feel lonely, you feel scared about what's going to happen. Maybe you just hate the disconnection that comes with a partner who's in a depressed state. And most likely you do not want to set a boundary like, when you're depressed, I'm going to peace out and do my own thing. I mean, maybe you would actually. Maybe that would be a really good boundary to set, but in a loving, kind way. In this case, I would do a relational move first. Babe, I love you so much. If there's anything I can do to help you with the depression, please tell me, because I am here. And I also want you to know that I am going to go out and do things even while you're in this state, because I need to take care of myself still. And I'm going to invite you along, but please know that it's not because I don't love you or anything like that. I just also need to still live my life. And so that might be a boundary. Babe, I love you and I'm here for you, and I'm still going to go take care of myself even whenever you're struggling. But a different one that is still an action, but not like the firm action of I'm going to leave or anything like that, might be, I see that you're depressed and I know it's incredibly hard for you. I also want you to know that it's hard for me when you're in this space. And what I intend to do while you're depressed is I'm going to ask you to try and go see a therapist. I'm going to ask you to maybe seek treatment from a psychiatrist and get on medication. And I will continue to ask that until you do something to shift the depression. That's actually a boundary. That's a boundary conversation. If you are in a depressed state, what I'm going to do is continue to try and talk to you about going to seek help, because it matters to me. And who knows whether or not they're going to seek help, but you have made it really clear that so long as this is happening, here's what I'm going to do. Let me think of another example, something that's not depression. Say your partner is somebody who does not do chores, right? Cannot make them do chores. It is not actually a boundary to say, I expect you to do the dishes, and if you don't, then I am going to... See, I can't even do it because it's not a boundary. If you don't do the dishes, then I... This is one of those moments where I'm like, come on, brain, come up with the thing that sounds like something that might be said in a relationship. Here it is. Okay, here we go. If you don't do the dishes, then I'm not going to have sex with you anymore. Okay. Not a boundary. That is more like a punitive, I'm going to try and manipulate you into doing the thing I want you to do, rather than stating, here's what I'm going to do because this is a problem for me. And so instead, what might be a healthy boundary would be, you're not doing the dishes. It is actually really upsetting to me that that's not happening. I would love it if you would. And I want you to know that because you're not doing the dishes, I feel less partnership with you. And when I don't feel partnership, I'm not going to be interested in doing things like going out on dates with you. I'm not going to be interested in connecting in the ways that we normally connect. I might not even want to cook dinner for you if the dishes aren't getting done. Those are boundaries. And you might be wondering to yourself, like, how is that different? Well, honestly, sex could have been an example here too. Like, you're not doing chores around the house and I don't feel loved in the way I want to be loved, and so I don't feel sexual, and I'm not going to have sex with you if I'm not feeling sexual. And if you want to change that, here's the things that you could do that would change the way I feel. But I'm not going to go past my boundary and be sexual whenever I'm not feeling close to you in that way. That could be a boundary. Here's the difference between that first example I gave where I was laughing and kind of joking, but still an example of somebody attempting to set a boundary that's not a true boundary, words, versus these examples I've just given. The difference is when you're in more of a relationally healthy space, it is very clear that the boundary is not punitive. It's not a punishment or an attempt to control the other person. You cannot do the dishes. That is your choice. I cannot make you, and I'm not interested in making you. But I do want you to know that I feel less loved or less seen, or just I have more stress because of that. And when I'm in that space of less love, less seen, more stressed, I don't want to do kind and loving things for you. And so I won't. And it's not because I don't love you. No, it's just that I don't have the same partnership experience. And so I'm less interested in giving of myself unconditionally in the way that might possibly happen if things were flowing more smoothly in our partnership in the ways that I have been asking for. This is such a gray area that even as I'm talking about it, I'm realizing like this could be confusing for some people. How do you get to a place where it's not punitive, it's not an attempt to control, it's not sneaky manipulation hiding in the form of a boundary, and instead it's truly just taking care of yourself and staying in connection and love while also going, yeah, because this is happening, I feel like I need to take care of myself in some way, whether that's only cooking for myself and then doing my dishes and you can fend for yourself, or whether that's not taking you out on dates because I don't feel excited to go out with you right now because of this thing that's happening, or some other boundary. Okay, please leave me comments, ask me questions. If this does not feel clear, I would love to hear from you, because this is a challenging internal shift. And let me tell you, I do not always get this right. I have been learning about boundaries for many years now from people who are brilliant at it. I'm thinking in particular about my mentor, Jules Shore, brilliant at boundaries. And she actually has a couple trainings. I'll link them below. She's also the one that I did my training with, Boundaries Create Your Peace. So if you're interested in going really deep into boundaries, consider taking this course. But still, what I was going to say is I've been practicing and learning about boundaries for years, and I still mess it up because it's hard and because our culture has not taught us how to do boundaries well. It has taught us how to do either manipulation or overt attempts to control, usually with some like forcefulness, intimidation, aggression attached to it. And so really this is an internal shift around nobody owes me anything. If I am expecting or demanding particular behaviors from the people around me, that might be a problem. That might be something I need to look at, because the kindest and most respectful thing I can do is be in relationship with people as exactly as they are, without trying to change them, while still taking care of myself. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Remember to subscribe to this channel, Practice Intimacy, for more content just like this and other things. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.